Welcome everybody to the Miami Sharks season review of the Miami Sharks. So, first ever, um, first ever season of the Miami Sharks rugby, and even though it ended the way that it did, I personally think it's still a memorable season because there are some ups, which is something that we were going to be looking forward for next season alone, and then there were some downs where I feel like they could have done something about it. But now that they probably know about this, so they're gonna work on this all off season long. And besides, like putting in some players that could really help pick up the pieces for the Miami Sharks for the next upcoming season or so. So it's a lot of high anticipation with this Sharks team. Most predictions said they're going to make the playoffs, while some said, "Well, this is a new team. They need to get used to this first." So they're probably going to have some struggles first thing. And they did have some struggles. The first game ever in the regular season happened on March 3rd, 2024. And I'm so honored and privileged to be at that game. The vlog is back in March. Go check it out if you have not. They played their first ever opponent was against the Chicago Hounds, and they lost that game 19-23. Miami Sharks with that late comeback just didn't quite make it through, and too many knock-ons, too many problems with the lineouts, and too many problems with handling with the rugby ball. And granted, it was raining. It was raining a lot on that night. Not through the whole game, thankfully, but it was raining quite a lot. In fact, the game did delay a half hour. It was supposed to be. I forgot what time it was supposed to start. It was supposed to start at 5:30. Then it ended up starting around 6:10 or 6:15. I remember this because I was at the game buying this jersey, and you know, it is what it is. So, Miami Sharks played their first game and did not win it at that game. Next game is against the Seattle Seawolves. That was their first ever West Coast trip over in Seattle, Washington, and I believe the stadium is called Starfire Stadium. Our stadium, it's called AutoNation Sports Field. It's literally it's a practice facility and its own field for rugby. It's also for soccer, for training grounds. And there's also some other training grounds on the other side. But it's across street from Chase Stadium or Drive Pink Stadium, in case you ever want to keep the name. But they go to Starfire Stadium to play against Seattle Seawolves. And the Sharks, they look like they could produce some problems with the offensive and defensive side of things for the teams, especially an elite team like Seattle. However, Seattle was proven to be too much. They won 2 championships for a reason, and they just were not able to keep up with it. Close game. It's a close game, but no bonus point. Next juggernaut team is against the Houston SaberCats. One of the only teams in the league that has a rugby specific stadium. Ours is a soccer field practice facility, but even then, it's still a great stadium. And in fact, our regular season game had like 4,500 plus, and that was part of that crowd too. The Houston's crowd, always great crowd in Houston, and they have won this game 30-19. No chance at all. Our next match, our first win ever in franchise history, came against our expansion twin, Anthem RC. We won this game 50-21, and it was a pretty great game. Next match. I can't believe I have to talk about this briefly again. Miami Sharks going up against San Diego Legion, another great team from the West Coast, playing on Easter Sunday at AutoNation Sports Field. I feel like Miami Sharks, they should have won this game. They absolutely should have won this game. This was a heartbreaker. I think this loss really plunged our season. Like, really. This was tough to see that happen. I look at the clock, and I knew I should not look at the clock because they made that crazy comeback, and Echeverri just can't make anything. And then they missed that kick. So, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable that happened. We lost the game 21-22, where we could have won the game 24-22 at the very least. April comes in, next match against New England. Yeah, no chance against New England Free Jacks right there, 25-3. Moving on. We go to New Orleans, NOLA Gold, and, for this away match, our first ever road game, or I shouldn't say that, our first ever road win against NOLA Gold, and that was a pretty good one. We beat them fair and square, 42-27. And then the next match, where Rugby Network was absolutely horrendous, we lost terribly to Dallas Jackals, of all teams, 38-17. Pretty bad. May comes around, and I thought May was pretty good for the most part. The only thing that sucked is the kicking and inability to score against Old Glory DC was our downfall. This is the match where I thought we could have won this game as well. But we lost this game 13-10, and I believe, from my knowledge, we handed Old Glory's first road win, or our first home win of the season. Just can't. You just can't. The next match is against the Utah Warriors. I was at that game, so was my friends. And as scary as the comeback was, we still prevailed and won this game against Utah 20-19. Thank goodness, because that would suck if we didn't win against Utah. And the very fact that this reminds me of the San Diego game really, really puts the anxious into the situation. So thankfully it didn't come down to it, and Sharks were able to win that game, 20-19. I was at that game. Go check out the vlog for yourself. I even jokingly screamed out, "Let's go see Inter Miami play," because one of the most awesome tries I've seen in my life with this team was that ball carrier going right towards the area of Chase Stadium, and I jokingly said, "Let's go see Inter Miami play." It was awesome. It's really awesome to see. They have a bye week a week after that, and then next week they played against the New England Free Jacks, and I was expecting a big fat L with the New England Free Jacks. However, Casares, somehow, some way, were able to find a hole and push through and then get automatic 7 to somehow upset the New England Free Jacks 15-13 at home. That is the upset of the year. Considering the fact that New England, no surprise, there would be first place in the Eastern Conference, we managed to pull an upset win against the New England Free Jacks, and that was just an absolutely amazing win by the Miami Sharks. Absolutely amazing win. Next week, could they hold out? Our kicking was horrendous throughout the month of June. We go to the West Coast to play against formerly Atlanta, now RFC Los Angeles. They play at Carson, where the Galaxy play. And second half, nothing worth mentioning. Otherwise, the yellow card, Los Angeles would keep scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring. And it would be, and the final score of this game would be 45-15. Following the week, we couldn't score worth crap to be clutch enough, and we lost this game 30-20 against NOLA Gold at home. So our playoff hopes are dwindling at this point. We needed a win against Anthem, which is in Charlotte on Father's Day. We got the win, 30-14 at Anthem at Charlotte, North Carolina. Then this game between us and Old Glory, we needed to win this game with a bonus point to keep ourselves in the hunt. We won this game, but we did not get a bonus point, which means Old Glory was able to get a couple of points in. And with that being said alone, they were able to clinch the playoffs, and Miami Sharks were eliminated from that point on. So that sucked. That absolutely sucked that we didn't do it. And then a week later, a great back and forth battle between the Chicago Hounds. That's our final opponent of the regular season, which is convenient because that's our first opponent in franchise history, and then that became our final opponent of the regular season. And the first half, we were down 24-7. They made this comeback to take the lead, and then lose it immediately, and then lose 38-26. And then the yellow cards were shown in the second half, and then eventually losing this game 38-26 against Chicago Hounds. And that is the final game of the regular season for the Miami Sharks. And then the final record would be 6-0-10 with a point differential of -54 with 32.16 games played. So that's the final regular season record. We're gonna have to watch the playoffs from the couch. If you're not gonna be interested, I don't blame you, but that's what's gonna happen. So, what went right? Well, there's really not much to say other than the fact that this is still their first year. They're getting used to the rugby environment. They're in a professional level. I have a feeling that they're going to get much better after this season. I'm fully optimistic about next season. So that's that. But what went right? Well, the chemistry is good. I think the chemistry is absolutely brilliant. They absolutely enjoy playing with each other. Absolutely can score if they have an ability to do so, and they can score and make the defense of the other team pretty frustrated, and the offense of the other team pretty frustrated when they're able to find a right spot to do so. What went wrong? Well, a couple of things. One, they need to work on the knock-ons. I think the knock-ons are hurting this team a lot. I also believe that the lineouts, especially early in the season, were hurting them. So they need to work on that, especially with the knock-ons, and especially when they're pretty darn close to their try line, on the offensive try line for the Sharks, where they lost themselves in the ability to score a try, especially when there's an environment where it's absolutely needed to be scored, and they just couldn't do it. That's another bad. That is another thing that went wrong. Is inability to score in the clutch scenarios like making the playoffs. And especially a part where against San Diego. I can even throw in Nola Gold, Old Glory DC, especially Old Glory, and Chicago. And that's pretty much it. So what should we expect for next season? A few things. I do expect that they're going to play better next season. I do believe so. They have the professional MLR experience in the first season. I think they're going to get together, going to find some players that can build the chemistry, especially the Argentinian chemistry down in Miami. And this might be unrelated to the entire thing. Where are they going to play? Are they still going to play at AutoNation Sports Field? Or are they going to play at that soccer stadium? Because here's why I'm saying this. Next season, we do expect Inter Miami to move down to Miami in the new soccer stadium called the Miami Freedom Park. That's expected. That soccer stadium is expected to be completed and open for the public next year. So where does this leave for the Sharks? Are they going to play at that stadium? They have a pretty good crowd down at that sports field. I know because I've been to that crowd twice, as best as I possibly can, and it's always fun to talk to rugby people. It really is, and they always have a good time. I got to take a picture with Sharky, so that's the big question here. And another big question for the Sharks is what type of position players that is absolutely needed? Do we need a good hooker? I don't know, but I do believe that next season will get better, and I believe they will make the playoffs in 2025. I have to hold on to that hope that they will do so. So unfortunate end for the Miami Sharks, no playoffs, but you know what? It's okay. Because now they got the rugby experience for next season. All right, guys, there you go. That's going to do it for this video, folks. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content because Miami TVG is back. And when he does, he'll be right there with you for your entertainment you deserve. This is Miami TVG. Go, Sharks, go. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Good night, everybody.